Hey everybody, welcome to Stuff Sketched with Gregg Schigiel. I am Gregg Schigiel, and I'm the person who is drawing what you're seeing right now, which is going to be a Leocorn, aka a lion unicorn. This is a drawing that is part of a series of drawings I did 2 months ago. My video had a kangaroo-unicorn, and that was for this same project, which is a coloring book called UNIQUECORNS, a coloring book of unique unicorns. It is a collection of 30 different non-horse unicorn animals. And this lion was one of the first ones I drew, and as it happens, it became the cover of the book, which you'll see at the end of this video. But I thought I'd share it as just a classic process video. When the video started, there was already the rough sketch, which was something I drew very small, maybe like, I don't know, inch and a half to 2 inches tall. Just a quick doodle to get the position of the lion down. And now, as per usual, I'm doing all my construction work. Placing the shapes, positioning the pieces, getting everything to where I want it to be. With this process, there was some back and forth in my mind in terms of how realistic or cartoony I wanted the imagery to be. With this lion, I went, I guess, pretty cartoony. It's hard to escape the influence of the appearance of things like The Lion King, just by virtue of how awesome that was. But in general, sort of the Disney style of drawing animals. I've been rewatching the Disney animated features in chronological order, and recently I've watched Robin Hood, which has some great animal designs, humanoid animal designs, but then even going back to things like 101 Dalmatians, Lady and the Tramp, the way that the animals are constructed and drawn to look is an influence on how I draw animals. Now right now I'm working on the horn, and my idea was to make every horn for each different unique horn distinct. So I was figuring out what the lion was going to be. Ended up going with this saber type shape, which, maybe that would work better for a tiger, saber-toothed tiger, but I went for it with the lion. The tiger has a different kind of horn. And yes, there is a tiger. I think I mentioned there were 30 different animals in the book. Now, the eyes I worked on more than a few times, as you'll see. But this is, again, all part of the construction process. I've had people comment on my ink line, and the ink line being smooth and clean and confident. And that, while I appreciate it, that mostly comes from the fact that I spend as much time as I do on this stage, the construction, the penciling stage. And even this is, like a phase one of the penciling stage, where I'm still building up the pieces. And you'll see as I'm working digitally, very soon I'll start moving some stuff around. Yeah, here we go. As I readjust and reposition things before I actually start doing any kind of inking. Yeah, little digital trickery here as I select the lion's head and move, reposition it. And the tail. And I resized a little too. And then still fiddling with the eyes. And then things are getting redrawn even so. Now this, I drew this a while back, but I think a while back before I recorded this audio. But I believe what I was doing here was thinking about the fact that it's a coloring book, so I wanted the teeth to be larger so there would be more room for coloring. And now the inking starts, and this is where the lines can go down much more confidently because I've done all the prep work in advance. And even here you'll see, I put a line down and then redraw it a few times because I'm not thrilled with it. So in the end, it looks like every line was thrown down with absolute authority, and that feels like a little overpraising of myself. But I think you know what I'm saying. But as I've said in past videos, and I'll say it again because this might be the first one you're watching, I equate a lot of this stuff, the inking, penciling, and all that, to the process of baking, which is everything up until this point has been actual baking, and this is frosting the cake. So before you can frost a cake, you need to bake it, and you need to bake it properly. So all the preliminary drawing I was doing, all the construction and everything, was me measuring ingredients, mixing them properly, putting them in the oven, baking them until they were right, letting them cool, all that stuff. And now I get to frost the cake. Again, as this was going to be a coloring book, I figured I would do the main in these big sort of chunks to provide stuff to color, space to color. And even doing this, I was drawing these big chunks, and then at some point, I can't remember when, I even started splitting those chunks up into parts. That shoulder there, that's again me trying to determine what level of simplification I wanted to have, how much fur to show, those kinds of things. I opted for just a little bit at the elbow. And there's where I decide to split hairs. Literally, I only just thought of that. Honest to goodness. But again, more stuff to color, which in the construction of a coloring book is a relevant concern. You don't want it to be too complicated. This isn't one of those quote-unquote adult coloring books that are meant to have a lot of tiny little spaces to color. But I also wanted it to be substantial enough. When I was a kid, we had these coloring books. I think they were published by Dover, but they were really neat. And my favorite one was a book of mythological creatures, which this UNIQUECORNS is definitely influenced by that book, that specific book, because it had these very cool drawings of these mythical creatures, and then little descriptions at the bottom. So this book has little made-up descriptions and factoids of these UNIQUECORNS that explains the power of the horn and that kind of a thing. Like what makes this animal unique compared to its standard non-horned edition. Version? Is it an edition or is it a version? It's probably a version. This is a UNIQUECORN, not a magazine. Now here, using the power of digital technology, I am using one of the digital rulers in this program, Clip Studio Paint, and basically lay down this ruler, and then the lines you draw will be nice and smooth. It's a curved ruler, kind of like if you were doing this analog or with a pen. There are bendable curves or French curves that you can use to make sure your curve lines are very smooth if you cannot do it completely, freehand. So that's what I'm doing here, making sure my curves work. And it takes a bit of doing and undoing because as you'll see, I don't quite feel happy with what I've drawn. Part of it is the thickness. So the curve is not as big an issue as the thickness of the tail. I want it to have a right form and taper, or less taper. So I'm thickening it up and getting it to where I want it to be. With the horn, I did not worry about getting a curve. I did that freehand with, that much confidence. And now I'm laying in some background, and since this is a coloring book, I thought I would also color it. Now, for the actual cover of the book, I colored it digitally, flat color, nice and bright and bold. If you're wondering why I'm redrawing that tree, it's I thought the leaves needed to look more leaf-like, a little more variance in the shape than just sort of the little circles I had drawn. And then I add in these shadow forms, again, stuff to color, sections to color. So yeah, so the original version I colored digitally, and here I'm adding some shadows, not too many, because again, coloring book, you don't want to put in the big spaces of black. So then it's this coloring process, which I have sped up a little bit faster than the penciling and inking, just because it takes a little longer, and it's just me filling in the spaces. But these are not the colors that are in the final cover. I colored the final cover with my computer, and that while I'm doing this on a computer, I'm trying to treat it as much as I would if I were using colored pencils. So I have a specific brush that replicates the texture of a colored pencil, and I'm using different colors. In this case, I've decided to make a blue lion, because why not? That's the beauty of a coloring book, is you can go in any direction you want. And it is a lion unicorn, so why wouldn't it? Why can't it be different colors? Now, the cover of the book is not as bodaciously imaginative. I don't know if imaginative is the word. Just counterintuitive, sure. But it's you'll see it in a second. But now I'm just coloring the mane and using those different segments of the mane as I intended them to be. So different colors. Could have gone completely rainbow on this one, all 7 colors of the rainbow, but I'm sticking with these shades of purple. I don't know. I was making decisions on the fly. But I think it looks a bit of all right. Not too shabby. Now, of course, the question comes at this point, what color do I make the background in the sky and stuff? Because if he's blue, then if the sky is blue, you're not going to really see the lion. So you'll see in a second what I chose to do. But yes, this is one of 30 different animals that are part of this coloring book. Coloring book is available now. If I can do some plugging / shilling, it's available on Amazon.com. That's the publishing platform I've used for this one. So you can go to Amazon and see it. You can go to my website, and there'll be a link below to see other sample pages. So yeah, I'm making the sky as a sort of an orange to red sky. Could have gone full yellow. I think a yellow sky actually, in hindsight, probably would have popped even stronger. Or a green sky, considering. But I think yellow would have been the... Should have gone yellow. That's on me, guys. But I think it still works. I'm just saying the mane doesn't quite flay. And that's what the final actual cover looks like. Final cover color. And here's what you need to know about the book. And with that, that's about all the stuff I have left to say. See you next time.